Stewie Griffin had always believed he was destined for greatness. While other children his age spent their days playing with toys, watching cartoons, or arguing over crayons, Stewie spent his time imagining a future where he held power, commanded respect, and shaped the world according to his vision. To most people, he was just another preschool student, but in his own mind, he was a future leader waiting for his opportunity. The morning started like any other. The Griffin family had recently returned home after yet another bizarre adventure that had become normal in their strange lives. Everyone seemed relieved to be back, and the neighborhood quickly returned to its usual routine. As Peter enjoyed the attention of being home, Stewie listened carefully to a conversation about leadership and public service. Chris admired the local mayor and talked about how heroic leaders were always helping people. Curious, Stewie asked what it took to become someone important. The answer was simple: learn about politics, get involved, and start participating in leadership opportunities whenever possible. Those words stayed with him. Later that day, Stewie arrived at preschool expecting another boring routine of snack time, story time, and educational games. Instead, he noticed colorful flyers hanging around the classroom. Children gathered around them, whispering excitedly and pointing at the large letters printed across the pages. Stewie walked over to investigate. The flyers belonged to Doug, one of the most confident and competitive students in the class. Doug had officially announced his campaign for snack captain, a position that came with very little responsibility. The winner would simply wear a paper hat while the teacher distributed snacks to the class. To most children, it was a meaningless title. To Doug, it was the beginning of a political career. Standing proudly in front of his campaign posters, Doug spoke to anyone willing to listen. "Today snack captain, tomorrow mayor," he declared with complete confidence. Several classmates laughed and applauded. Doug soaked up the attention like a professional politician addressing a crowd of supporters. Stewie rolled his eyes. The entire thing seemed ridiculous. How could someone take such a small election so seriously? Yet the more Doug talked, the more annoyed Stewie became. Doug acted as if the election had already been won. "What makes you so sure you'll win?" Stewie finally asked. Doug grinned. "My opponent dropped out. Noah got sick. There's nobody left to challenge me." The answer irritated Stewie more than he expected. Doug wasn't excited about serving his classmates. He was excited because he thought victory was guaranteed. For a moment, Stewie considered ignoring the situation. After all, becoming snack captain wasn't exactly a major achievement. But then he imagined Doug spending the next several weeks bragging about his victory. The thought was unbearable. A slow smile appeared on Stewie's face. Perhaps this election needed another candidate. Doug continued speaking confidently to the crowd, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Stewie stepped forward. "I'm running." The room instantly fell silent. Several students stared at him in surprise. Even Doug looked shocked. "What?" Doug asked. "You heard me," Stewie replied. "I'm officially entering the race." The announcement spread through the classroom almost immediately. Children rushed to tell their friends. Suddenly, what had been a boring, uncontested election became the most exciting event of the week. Doug tried to laugh it off. "You don't stand a chance." "We'll see," Stewie answered calmly. Although he sounded confident, Stewie knew he couldn't win alone. Every successful candidate needed a team, a strategy, and someone they could trust. Fortunately, he knew exactly who to ask. After school, he found Brian relaxing at home. "Brian," Stewie said, "I need your help." Brian looked up from his book. "With what?" "I'm running for snack captain." Brian blinked. "You're serious?" "Completely." Brian expected it to be another one of Stewie's temporary obsessions, but the determined expression on Stewie's face suggested otherwise. "And what exactly do you want me to do?" Stewie smiled. "I want you to be my campaign manager." Brian laughed at first, but the more Stewie explained his plans, the more interesting the idea became. What started as a preschool election was beginning to resemble a real political campaign. There would be speeches, promises, debates, and strategies. Most importantly, there would be competition. Doug might have started as the favorite, but he no longer had an easy path to victory. As the sun set outside and the two partners began planning their campaign, neither realized just how intense the election would become. What seemed like a simple contest for a paper hat and snack time privileges was about to turn into a battle of ambition, intelligence, and determination. And for Stewie Griffin, this was only the beginning. The following morning, Stewie woke up with only one thing on his mind: victory. Most preschool students forgot about classroom elections as soon as they left school, but Stewie treated the campaign like a matter of national importance. He spent the entire breakfast thinking about strategies, slogans, and ways to defeat Doug. Every successful leader needed a plan, and Stewie intended to create the most organized campaign the preschool had ever seen. When he arrived at school, Brian was already waiting for him near the playground. "All right," Brian said. "If we're going to do this, we need to do it properly." Stewie nodded. "Excellent. I've prepared several ideas." Brian wasn't surprised. Stewie had brought a notebook filled with campaign plans, voter analysis, and even rough sketches of posters. For a preschool election, it was absurdly detailed. Together, they sat down and began organizing the campaign. Their first challenge was simple. Nobody really knew what Stewie stood for. Doug had spent weeks building relationships with classmates. He was loud, confident, and constantly talking about becoming snack captain. Whether people liked him or not, they knew who he was. Stewie, on the other hand, was often viewed as the strange kid with unusual interests and an even stranger vocabulary. "If you want votes," Brian explained, "people need a reason to support you." Stewie leaned back thoughtfully. "Then we'll give them one." Over the next few days, the campaign began to take shape. Colorful posters appeared around the classroom. Instead of focusing on himself, Stewie focused on the students. His campaign promised fairness during snack time, equal treatment for everyone, and a commitment to making every student feel included. The promises sounded dramatic considering the position involved handing out crackers, but many children were impressed. For the first time, they saw a candidate discussing ideas instead of simply asking for votes. Meanwhile, Doug continued relying on his popularity. Whenever someone asked why they should vote for him, his answer was always the same: "Because I'm the best choice." At first, that confidence worked. However, Brian noticed something interesting. The more Doug repeated the same message, the more students started asking questions. What exactly made him the best choice? What would he do differently? Why should anyone vote for him? Doug rarely had clear answers. Stewie quickly took advantage of the opportunity. During recess, he spent time talking to classmates individually. He listened to their complaints, learned their concerns, and made sure they felt heard. One student wanted longer story times. Another wished the classroom games were more organized. A third simply wanted someone who wasn't constantly bragging. Stewie listened carefully to every opinion. "You see," Brian said later, "people like being heard." "It's remarkably effective," Stewie admitted. As the campaign continued, support for Stewie slowly grew. Students who had initially planned to vote for Doug started reconsidering their choices. They appreciated Stewie's effort and respected the seriousness he brought to the election. The change didn't go unnoticed. One afternoon, Doug watched as a group of students gathered around Stewie's newest campaign poster. For the first time since announcing his candidacy, Doug felt uncomfortable. His lead was shrinking. Determined to regain control, he launched a more aggressive campaign. New flyers appeared overnight, and Doug increased his efforts to remind everyone that he was the original candidate. The classroom quickly divided into two groups. Some supported Doug because of his confidence and popularity. Others supported Stewie because of his ideas and determination. What had started as a simple preschool election was becoming a genuine rivalry. The closer voting day came, the more intense the competition became. Brian could see the pressure building on both candidates. "Remember," he told Stewie, "this isn't just about winning. It's about proving that preparation and hard work matter." Stewie smiled. "Don't worry, Brian. I'm planning to do both." Across the room, Doug stared at his opponent. For weeks, he had believed victory was guaranteed. Now, for the first time, he realized something important. Stewie Griffin might actually beat him, and that possibility terrified him. As Election Day approached, the battle for snack captain was only beginning.